You missed me. I missed it too. Blow something up. I already did that.
A clunky, awkward machine built out of leftovers and relative obscurity. A powerhouse of technology that changed the universe as we know it. These thoughts could describe how the character of Iron Man grew over the course of a decade. They could also describe how the Marvel Cinematic Universe grew from a bunch of second-string characters into the box office blockbusters we know today. The changes in Tony Stark's armor also reflect the changes in his character, from dashing playboy to family man. Hey folks, and welcome to The Binger. In this video, we're going to look at the evolution of Tony Stark's armor from a pile of scraps in a cave to an army of microscopic robots.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Every great idea springs from either inspiration or desperation. In Tony Stark's case, his greatest inventions came from a bit of both. The terrorist group 10 Rings held him captive in a cave and forced him to make weapons for them. His desperation to prevent a shard of shrapnel from piercing his heart led him to invent the Arc Reactor. The reactor powered an electromagnet that kept the shrapnel in place and kept him alive. His inspiration pushed him to use the Arc Reactor to power a suit of armor and help him and his fellow captive Yinsen to escape. Stark also added a few surprises, including a rocket launcher and a flamethrower. The weapons helped him overpower his captors, while the propulsion system helped him get away and get found by American pilots. So it's not the most stylish design. It doesn't have the best weapons. It isn't the most colorful costume, and it doesn't even have onboard Wi-Fi. But it did get the job done. What else do you want from a suit made in a cave from scraps? The Mark II was the first suit Stark designed after he returned home to a hero's welcome and a cheeseburger dinner. It had the slimmer design that became a hallmark of every suit going forward, but it lacked Tony's distinctive style. The Mark III is the first suit to have the classic red and gold color scheme. It was also the first to use the hand repulsor units as weapons. The suit saw its first action when Iron Man went after the 10 Rings. He saw them on a news report destroying the home village of his friend Yinsen. Stark took them all out, including destroying a tank with one shot. The new suit also used a special alloy that prevented it from freezing at high altitudes. Stark used this capability to defeat his former business partner Obadiah Stane. Stane collaborated with Stark's kidnappers so that he could take control of Stark Enterprises. Stane took control of the Ironmonger armor, an enlarged version of the Mark I. Stark's victory over Ironmonger marked the end of his first adventure, and his introduction into a much bigger universe.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
I need you to wear a surgical mask until you're feeling better. Is that okay?
That's rude.
Armored suits aren't the only machines Tony Stark enjoys playing around with. In Iron Man 2, he also showed that he can handle a top-level race car through the streets of Monte Carlo. But when Ivan Vanko, the villain known as Whiplash, attacked the race, Tony needed to take him down. Whiplash's energy whips use an Arc Reactor as their power source, the very same power source as the Iron Man armor. While the equipment that Tony used to put on his earlier suits was at his New York headquarters, he needed something a bit more portable. Enter the Mark V, also known as the suitcase suit. The suitcase suit had many of the same capabilities as the earlier suits, but the suit's collapsible parts could fit inside a briefcase. However, what the suit provided in convenience and portability, it lacked in both protection and offensive capabilities. It didn't pack the punch of the earlier suits, and it took heavy damage in Whiplash's attack. Although the Mark V didn't make another appearance in the MCU, it wouldn't be the last time Tony made a portable suit.
Didn't expect to see you here.
Look, it's me. I'm here to deal with it. Let's move on.
In Iron Man 2, the US government sent Tony's friend, US Air Force Colonel James Rhodes, to confiscate Tony's Mark II suit. Justin Hammer, a competitor to Stark, adapted the suit's technology to suit his nefarious purposes. The suit was renamed the JRXL-1000 Variable Threat Response Battlesuit. Hammer gave the suit a catchier name, War Machine. With weapons like a shoulder-mounted minigun, a 40mm grenade launcher, and a missile system nicknamed the Ex-Wife, the suit lived up to its name. The government allowed Rhodey to pilot the suit and test out its new armaments. When Iron Man and War Machine faced off against an upgraded Whiplash, the results didn't go quite as expected. After they defeated Whiplash, Tony took back the War Machine suit, upgraded it, and gave it back to Rhodes.
By taking the guy they call War Machine and giving him a paint job.
The Mark II suit, renamed the Iron Patriot and repainted in a star-spangled color scheme, saw action in Iron Man 3. When that suit was damaged, Rhodes piloted the War Machine Mark III in Captain America: Civil War. After the clash of the Avengers, Rhodes piloted the Mark IV suit in Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame. Tony Stark met some of the other members of the bigger universe in the first Avengers film. Nick Fury gathered Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Thor, Captain America, and Black Widow aboard the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. When Loki organized an attack on the helicarrier, Tony used his Mark VI armor to help with the repairs. He later confronted Loki in his New York penthouse, where he distracted the God of Mischief long enough to slip on a pair of bracelets. When Loki found that he couldn't turn Tony to his side, he tossed him out a window more than 100 stories above the ground. Tony called upon his computer assistant Jarvis to prepare his Mark VII armor. The new suit traced the bracelets, flew down under its own power, and rescued Tony before he hit the pavement.
And there's one other person you pissed off. His name was Phil.
Tony would need all the powers of the new suit to combat the alien invaders, including a Leviathan monster that he lured into fighting the rest of the team. He also used this suit to steer a nuclear missile into a wormhole, saving New York City and giving the newly formed Avengers their very first victory.
What is that, like Mark 15?
Yeah. Something like that. You know, everybody needs a hobby.
Let's skip a few generations and get into the modern era of Iron Man suits. In Iron Man 3, Tony Stark took the concept of the bracelets to a whole new level. He injected himself with microchips that could interface with the Mark 42 suit. These microchips allowed each component to fly on its own and encase itself around each part of Tony's body. He could also command it to protect another person, as he did when agents of the Mandarin attacked his Malibu cliffside home. He commanded the armor to protect Pepper Potts, then called it back to himself when she was safe. Another interesting feature of the Mark 42 suit was its ability to electrify anything that it touched. This feature helped Tony rescue the passengers of the disabled Air Force One. Also, the dominant gold in the color scheme made it stand out from the traditional red-based color palette found in earlier versions. This mark met its end when Tony ordered it to self-destruct, but he kept the remnants and moved them to the new Avengers facility for further study. When the Hulk runs wild in your neighborhood, who you gonna call?
I'm calling it Veronica.
You call the Hulkbuster. The Mark 44 armor, which Tony nicknamed Veronica, was a larger suit of armor that fit over the human-sized suit. In Avengers: Age of Ultron, the Scarlet Witch used her mind control powers to turn Bruce Banner into the Incredible Hulk. Faced with an exceptionally enraged Hulk in the middle of an urban area, Tony called on Veronica to overpower the Green Goliath. Although it was never given another name in the film, most fans know this version as the Hulkbuster armor. This armor system is more than just a suit. It also includes a tracking satellite that can send the armor anywhere in the world. Since the Hulk can do tremendous amounts of damage, the system also includes a delivery system for replacement parts during a battle. Another remarkable feature was the piston-like action in the wrists, which let Iron Man lay in dozens of punches to Hulk's face. The Hulk ended up suffering a knockout loss, as well as a lost tooth. How'd you like to be the Hulk's dentist after that fight?
I'm sorry.
The aftermath of Avengers: Age of Ultron led every member of the team to rethink their positions. None more so than Tony Stark after a grieving mother confronted him about his role in the Battle of Sokovia. The Sokovia Accords split the Avengers into those who favored limitations on their powers, led by Iron Man, and those who opposed those limits, led by Captain America. When Tony and his teammates had to face Cap and his renegade Avengers, he knew he needed another upgrade. He brought the Mark 46 armor online shortly before he and his allies squared off with Team Cap in Captain America: Civil War. Instead of relying on the single large arc reactor in his chest, the Mark 46 had several smaller reactors throughout the suit. The largest reactor also contained a unibeam, a powerful single-shot repulsor blast that could disintegrate anything in its path. Tony used this beam to blast the Winter Soldier's cybernetic left arm. When he saw his best friend in danger, Cap used his shield to shatter the main arc reactor, leaving Tony helpless and the Avengers broken.
He's my friend. So was I.
While recovering from his battle with Team Cap, Tony devoted some time to his new protege, a young science student named Peter Parker. The high school science whiz idolized both the inventor Tony Stark and the superhero Iron Man. Meanwhile, Peter reminded Tony of a younger version of himself. He admired the kid so much that he developed a suit especially for the youngster's alter ego, Spider-Man. As a means of keeping track of the young hero, Tony also created the Mark 47 armor.
How'd you find me? Did you put a tracker in my suit or something?
This suit bore a striking resemblance to its immediate predecessor, but with more silver in place of the usual gold. A major feature of the Mark 47 was the remote control capability. This feature let Tony control the suit in New York while he attended a ceremony in India. Another feature was the high-powered laser system that let him weld together the halves of the Staten Island ferry. The suit's self-contained environmental system also lets the wearer survive underwater. That feature came in really handy when Iron Man needed to rescue Spider-Man from drowning in a lake after the wall crawler's battle with the Vulture.
If you even cared, you'd actually be here.
Here's a riddle. When is a suit of armor not a suit of armor? When it's made of nanites, of course. Tony Stark marked his big 5-0 in Avengers Infinity War. Not that he was turning 50, but he debuted the 50th version of his iconic armor.
Where'd that come from?
It's nanotech. You like it?
The Mark 50 armor consisted entirely of nanites, microscopic robots that can be programmed for a multitude of tasks. The nanite suit could create nearly any weapon from energy blades to battering rams. While the suit's capabilities could allow him to defeat the Black Order, it wasn't enough to overcome the Mad Titan himself. Tony barely survived a beating from Thanos and escaped into space with Thanos' adopted daughter Nebula. When he arrived back on Earth, he developed the Mark 85 armor, based on the technology from Mark 50 to create a new Infinity Gauntlet. Just as Thanos' snap wiped out half of all life in the universe, Tony's gauntlet was first used by the Hulk to bring back all of his lost friends, and then by Tony himself to erase Thanos and his minions from existence. The Hulk snap just gave him a real bad sunburn on one of his arms. Tony's snap cost him his life, and every hero who fought alongside him honored his sacrifice. So, what do you think? Did we leave your favorite Iron Man suit off of our list? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to The Binger to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching.